What is going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. It is Monday? Yeah, it's Monday.
Yep.
January the 8th, 2024. Welcome. We are excited to talk about the season finale of...
We are?
I have to say, I'm wearing my favorite Viking shirt, my favorite Vikings hat, for my favorite Viking season that I've been a part of. How about you fellas?
I am not wearing your favorite Vikings shirt or your favorite Vikings hat.
Ooh, it was rough. What a rough year. Thank God.
I was going to say, what's this we you speak of on being excited about that football game?
I'm excited that the season's over. I mean, I'm kind of tired of watching this Vikings team that I know could be better. And their 1-7 finish this season just disappointing me.
To be honest, I think it is going to be a really exciting offseason because there is a lot of really big decisions looming in front of the Minnesota Vikings. Decisions that will shape the future of the franchise. So this is not going to be one of those off seasons where we're like, hey, it's been 3 weeks and there's no news and we don't know what to talk about. There should be something going on all the time around this team, I think.
I don't understand the funeral callers.
It's the end of the season. Sad day. It's over. For a terrible season at that too.
Well, when Kirk went down, I think all of our expectations went away.
It's true. We can look back on it, and we will. We'll go game by game like we did last year, just to have something to talk about, and kind of try to pick up and see like what maybe Kevin O'Connell, what Kwesi could have did better, what they did do well. And that'll get us closer to the draft. But just wrapping this game up super fast because I want to talk about all the stuff surrounding and everything else. The positives from yesterday, Jordan Addison, God, I loved hearing him say it. I heard it on the broadcast. Caught his 10th touchdown yesterday, and he's got all of his fingers up and said, that's 10. I was like, good for you, man. Be happy for that. That's quite an accomplishment. Mm-hmm. Only playing in 10 games, Justin Jefferson has 1,074 yards.
Insane.
He's unreal. He's a superstar. Glad to have him on the team. Excited to hear and hopeful that he's going to get his contract situation figured out.
And while we're talking about milestones, don't forget Ivan Pace breaking 100 tackles.
That's wonderful, too, which is hilarious because I saw the 33rd team ranked their undrafted rookies, and he's like 23rd on the list, which is absolutely laughable.
Wow.
It's hilarious. No love for him whatsoever.
What undrafted players do they have higher than him?
I'll have to look
Rick
at
Spielman just get hired somewhere too?
He did?
Yeah, that's a good one. He was hired for Washington.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, good for him.
They hired, it's kind of interesting. They hired him, and I can't remember the fellow's name, but he's an former NBA executive. I think he worked with the Golden State Warriors. They hired those two to help find a general manager for the Washington, not Redskins. What are they now? Washington Commanders.
Right.
So it's interesting if Rick Spielman will be like, hey, we went through all these other guys, but I'm here. You should just hire me.
Yeah, because Rick Spielman is part of the 33rd team, right?
Yes.
He was for a while.
Mike Zimmer was part of that too, or are they tied in with the Athletics somehow? I thought they were.
I don't know.
Maybe
I can't bring myself to pay for the Athletic.
I can't either. I'm glad we're on the same page.
I'm sure their content is fantastic, but with so many places to get sports news, I just can't bring myself to pay for one outlet.
I wanted to.
Charlotte. I'm giving a game ball to the Justin Jefferson Little Caesars commercial. That is fantastic.
Which one? He's got a couple.
I love the one where he's wearing the glasses with the mustache.
Oh, the one about him being handsome?
Yeah.
Or the one where he switches places as a kid? I mean, there's a couple.
Yeah, those were both great. I love that he's getting his money elsewhere because he's going to get it from the Vikings regardless. But I want to put this up real quick. We're talking about JJ. I sent this to Kyle last night. I should have put it in the Purple People pod chat, but I sent it to him for sure. So this is the stat from yesterday. And I asked Kyle, I said, are you ready for the dumb stat of the day? Everyone listening to the show, I'm going to give you the dumb, and I don't mean this as this is stupid. This is like ridiculous stupid is the context.
How is this even possible kind of dumb is what we're talking about.
Yes, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Stupid would replace the word ridiculous in this context. Here we go. Barring some stupid injury next year or another setback, Justin Jefferson will easily pass the following Vikings legends as far as receiving yards. 7th is Steve Jordan. 6th is Sammy White. 5th is Jake Reed. 4th is Adam Thielen. 3rd is Anthony Carter. He could easily pass Steve Jordan, Jake Reed, Sammy White, and Adam Thielen and move into 4th all-time next year with another 1,000-plus yard season, maybe around the 11 to 1,200.
Where would you list among Bears receivers?
If he completes a couple passes, he'll be up there with the Bears quarterbacks.
Hey, could we take that out of the playbook, Kevin O'Connell? Justin Jefferson tries to throw a pass, because I don't know. I think it's worked like once, and the majority of the time it doesn't, and I kind of hate that play.
Can we just take the handing the ball off to Alexander Madison out of the playbook?
Yeah, that's a good topic we can talk about.
Dude, Adam, the floor is yours. Take it away right now.
Go for it.
You go an entire season without a rushing touchdown. Entire season. You are the starting running back. Nothing.
I'm going to tell you this right now. If he can stay, but this is under the preface of we are moving on from him being the primary running back. I don't care if that means more Ty Chandler. I don't care if that means you bring back Cam Akers and he gets to start. If you draft one in the 3rd round and you're saying you're going with him, he cannot be the focal point of your running game next year. He cannot. He's got to be moved.
I do not need a running back that can't find the end zone. Don't need him. Need him.
And remember, I said this in the chat, guys. I'm going to toot my own horn because I was correct here. All you have to do is get 59 yards. We'll round up just to be safe. 60 yards on the ground a game. He got 700 yards for the season. Evenly. 700 for the season. He is terrible.
Got his running back a touchdown. Did you guys see that with Jameis Winston?
Oh, yeah. Yesterday when the coaches wanted to throw down. Well, so much for being fired up, Arthur Smith, because you're out of a job today. I don't know how you have Bijan Robinson and you don't run it.
How do you have all the talent that Atlanta has and you're not good on offense?
I'm going to tell you right now. You know where would be a great spot for Justin Fields? The Atlanta Falcons.
That's Kirk. That's where Kirk's going.
The Chargers, maybe? I don't know.
I can back up Herbert.
Oh, Herbert's going to stay there? Okay.
Herbert's coming to Minnesota.
Oh, cool. That's what else can we?
Because Justin Fields has as many playoff wins as Justin Herbert.
Wins aren't a quarterback stat. Adam, you know this?
I mean, I'm sure it helps to have a good quarterback.
They've already paid Justin Herbert. He's not going anywhere.
Wins are a quarterback stat if you win a lot. And when you lose.
Stat. I mean, how important that stat is up for debate.
Oh, yeah. We should talk about that, too. Apparently, if we're going that route, not to tease Adam, I'm just teasing the internet at this point. Everybody hates Kirk Cousins. They keep saying, like, I was talking shit about Score North again. I don't care that you make your money talking and have a bigger platform than this. If you're a doofus, you should be called the doofus because you're stupid. They're already back on the we shouldn't bring Kirk back. This is what, and mind you, coming off a season where the Vikings won 13 games with them, said, if Kirk comes back, you have this 3rd place schedule, because with the way the schedule fell, the Vikings have a 3rd place and not the 4th place schedule, even though they tied with the Bears. I think their strength of schedule was harder, so cool. Anyways, they have a 3rd place schedule. Phil Mackey proceeds to say, yeah, if you bring Kirk back, you probably win about 8 games next year. So apparently he can see into the future, first of all. I made a tweet about this, and I want to just point out again, and I am talking to you, Phil Mackey. I directly at you. The other 2 guys you don't want to associate with me, that's fine. You're a fucking idiot. You are. And I'm calling you that on this show because I'm disrespecting you. You know, you talk about Kirk so much, and it's so funny. He's like, we got to move on from Kirk. We got to draft the quarterback. What is your excuse going to be every single day for however many years? Because I know you're going to have one. Then it's going to be the coach's fault. Then it's going to be the receiver's fault. It's going to be the GM's fault. What happens when you draft a young quarterback? Let's say you went up and got Caleb Williams, and he doesn't win a Super Bowl. What then? I put this perfect analogy up because I wanted it to be said. Phil Mackey thinks he's cool like Heath Ledger in the Batman as the Joker, but you're not as cool as him. You're not nearly as talented. Number two, what are you going to do when Kirk actually leaves? You're going to have no content for your show. You're going to have nothing to talk about. You need Kirk. You need him to stay here 3 more years so you will actually have a personality.
I do think that the Vikings, well, and again, this is going to be our A topic all off season until the draft is like, what are they going to do? Are they going to keep Kirk? Are they going to draft a young quarterback? What is the correct answer? And you won't know the correct answer to this until 3-4 years down the line when you see how it shakes up. That's how important of a decision it is. Ultimately, I think the Vikings want a quarterback in this draft, but you look at the top half of it, and there's like an easy 3 teams in front of Minnesota that are all going to be taking quarterbacks. Are they going to be able to trade up to get someone that you believe in? Or are we going to sit tight and are we just going to take any quarterback that falls to us? Well, the last time we did that, we ended up with Christian Ponder. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to be too aggressive and give up the farm to draft the 4th or 5th best quarterback on the board. It's a very difficult decision, and I'm glad I'm not the one that has to make it, because you can make a strong case for keeping Kirk. You can make a case for moving on from Kirk. That's what's so difficult about it.
Well, the Vikings roster as it stands is going to make things difficult because Minnesota doesn't have a lot of players coming back that are already under decent contracts. I mean, they're going to have to bring back if they want to bring back Kirk, they're going to make a lot of sacrifices. I mean, they want to extend Justin Jefferson. I think I lost everybody for a second there, but they want to extend Justin Jefferson. They have Danielle Hunter, who's going to get a big payday and probably won't be staying in Minnesota. And they got other positions they need to fill, the other edge rushing position. And, I mean, there's a lot of money that just isn't there to go around right now.
Right now, they essentially have no edge rush under contract in 2024. I mean, no Danielle Hunter, no Marcus Davenport. Well, he wasn't very good, so we're not counting on him anyway. But still, you don't have anyone really at that position. So you can make the case that if there's not a quarterback that you absolutely love and you want to walk down the aisle and marry right now, that you might want to go for that edge rusher, which is going to piss off a lot of Vikings fans.
Yeah.
I'm with this. I tweeted it earlier, maybe an hour or 2 ago. They need a refrigerator of a large man in the middle, and they need to stop the run. They need somewhat of help there, and they need an edge rusher. And
I know they still have Dean Lowry under contract, but Dean Lowry ain't cutting it.
He's not it. But I'll tell you this too.
You can, and guess what? You can also never not have a big shutdown corner. The Vikings could use more help in that secondary too.
It sounds like Harrison Smith doesn't want to retire yet. Which is the opposite of what Johnson just wrote.
Yeah, I sent a photo to everyone in the chat. They played in Detroit yesterday, and the cleaning out of the lockers today, you could see Harrison Smith with a Teddy Bridgewater Lions jersey. As we reported a couple weeks ago, from wherever source it came out of, this is Teddy's last year, so you won't see him in the NFL anymore. I'm sure they were buddies while he was here. So that was one that kind of stung in the heart a little bit. I was like, no.
Do you guys think that if you're the Vikings, do you talk Harrison Smith into 1 year? He was a little teary-eyed in the locker room, like it could have been his last game as a Viking, but I kind of agree with Adam. I think that maybe you could talk him into 1 more year. Or is this a case of we just need to embrace the rebuild? And
well, his quote up, whenever I retire, I'm not going to tell you. You'll just figure it out. To me, that meant not quite yet. Maybe I'm reading that wrong.
I also think that, and this is not going to make people very happy because the defense was not very good the last month of the year. But unless Brian Flores is coming back, no, let him make his own choice. And it's not to say I don't like or want Harrison Smith on the team, but I think he excels with the Flores style stuff, not the let's prevent everything like the year prior, which I hated.
If Minnesota does have one strong spot on their roster at the moment, it is safety. Cameron Bynum led the team in tackles this year, and it's not a great sign if your safety leads your team in tackles. That's usually not a great thing, but between him and Josh Metellus and Harrison Smith, I mean, they've had a lot of success there, and that's really helped that secondary have a lot of good ideas.
If I can jump in right here, Justin Thomas, we're talking about what the Vikings should do in the draft. And trust me, for the rest of this month, next month, the month after, and most of the month after that, this is pretty much all we're going to talk about. Cornerback, defensive tackle, in his opinion, and re-sign Kirk. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to go back to this a million times. We said it on the show, me specifically. The Vikings are paying Kirk Cousins $28.5 million this coming season in 2024, whether he plays for our team or someone else. It would be stupid to pay him to go somewhere else. It would. And furthermore, everyone said it the other night, the last home game, when he came out with his shirt off and he's getting the crowd pumped. Why would you let him go? The season proved itself to be like very bad without him. It's been musical chairs, and we're going to debate this all off season going to the draft. What are the things that Kevin O'Connell could have done better? Because he had some times where he could have maybe stuck with someone like Kyle West was talking about. But watching the drop off from Kirk to everyone else, I'm never saying another bad thing about this guy again. I won't do it.
I got a question for Justin here, though. When you say draft someone later, do you mean like in a later round in this draft, or do you mean like in a later draft year?
That's a good question.
Because I don't know if I'd be willing to roll the dice on like another third or fourth round quarterback. I'd want one of those top prospects.
I wouldn't. If you decide that you're going to keep Kirk on the team, I'm assuming you're probably not going to trade up and draft a quarterback this year. So you might as well, like I said, wait and see what you can do in the next couple seasons.
Man, it would be a shame to miss out on this quarterback class, though.
It really would.
That's a good topic. Is, do you roll with investing for the future and possibly having another year like this where we're so depleted depth-wise at other positions, but you've got the security of I got a young quarterback for 5 years that'll be cheap? Or do you keep doing the thing that they kind of did with the last regime and says we can still bring the band back together and go on a run? It's tough, man. Like you said, I don't want to be the guy making these choices.
It's difficult because can you do both at the same time? I mean, are you going to give up, hey, wow, the Vikings shocked us. They gave up 3 first-round picks and X, Y, and Z, and they moved up to the number 4 spot in the draft, and they took themselves a quarterback. And we also kept Kirk Cousins. And so we're going to...
Well, before this draft, before this game, there was a lot of talk on Vikings Twitter about a rumor circulating that the Vikings were trying to trade up for Anthony Richardson in the last draft. And I'm not sure of any validity behind that rumor, but if that is true, I do expect Minnesota to make a big swing in this draft.
And where I was going with that is that I don't know if you do both at the same time. Like, I don't know if you're like, man, we gave up 5 picks and we got ourselves a quarterback and we brought back Kirk Cousins and we're paying him a boatload at the same time. I don't think you do both. So if they're planning on doing that, I mean, you're drafting a high first-round pick rookie, and you can go for a kind of a boring veteran like a Davis Mills that you're bringing in as your stopback solution to kind of come out there and like, yeah, you can play for, 6 games and we're going to give you a good, you're going to have weapons on offense and we're going to hope that you succeed. If you don't, then we got the rookie that can go out there and take over midway through the season. That would make more sense than trying to do both with Kirk.
And the way you said that was great. Let the veteran go first, and then let the rookie come in if he's not. Carolina did not do a good service to Bryce Young this year, throwing him to the fire on that shit team. They had Andy Dalton, who could have been serviceable the entire year, and let him learn. That's what I hope happens. If you do end up drafting in the top 11, because the Vikings, we haven't said this officially yet, the Vikings are at the 11th spot in the draft, so they're right outside the top 10. I counted 7 teams yesterday that could be looking for a quarterback, probably are looking for a quarterback. So there's not 7 that are worth the top 10 pick. Somebody's going to get overdrafted. It happens every time. There could be potential for other great, like a corner, like you said, or an edge rusher. You might get the top edge rusher of the class at 11. Who knows? But if you do draft a rookie quarterback in the top 11, I don't want to throw him to the wolves. I think that's a terrible idea. Unless this is the second coming of Andrew Luck, who's just going to go out here and be fucking awesome. Let him learn for a little bit. What better guy to learn than under Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell to chill for a year and be like, because, you guys have heard this 100 times, and you in the chat have too. Remember how the rookies come in and they were like, oh, the game is so fast now. It's so much faster than college. Well, what if you had a buffer year to just learn? And I hate saying this. Look what it's done for Jordan Love this year. God, does he look like he's got it fucking figured out. And he had some time to chill and process it, right? You throw these guys to the fire, and at a minimum of 50% of the time, the shit doesn't work. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think it's better if they have a chance to, take a breather for a second and be like, all right, this is a ton of information to process and not have to worry about that.
It all depends on your rookie quarterback, though. I mean, there are rookie quarterbacks this year that have even thrived, had amazing seasons. But one thing we do know for the Vikings is that Aaron Rodgers is coming to Minnesota next season. He is. The Jets are scheduled to play in Minnesota.
Oh, that's true. Forgot about that. I thought you meant he's coming to Minnesota like the Brett Favre thing.
No.
We might as well talk about
their opponents.
I think I might be taking a trip down to Tennessee. I know they're playing the Titans away, so that's kind of close for me. I might be doing that, taking a trip back to Nashville. That's a lot of fun.
There you go.
I don't have that list in front of me, Adam. Do you have the list, or maybe I'll do it real quick?
Well, the Vikings page doesn't have them listed out real nice and pretty. But Vikings home games are the division opponents with Arizona, San Fran, Houston, Indy, and Atlanta, and I believe the New York Jets at home.
Yes. 9
the road opponents are Bears, Lions, Packers, Rams, Seahawks. Here comes the Seahawks again. You gotta love them. Jaguars, Titans, and then the Giants. So both New Jersey teams are on that list.
Nice. Yeah, those are some, for a third place schedule, that's still very tough.
Jets and Giants? I mean, the Jets are going to be a different team next year, too. So it's not like they were terrible this year.
Well, I'm just on, all these teams change every year, especially like playoff teams. But I'm looking now. San Francisco's the 1 seed in our conference. Detroit is the number 3 seed in our conference. The Packers are a playoff team. You split with the Bears. The Houston Texans won their division. The only rollovers that I see right now are possibly the Bears and possibly the Falcons, because I think Aaron Rodgers is healthy. The Jets might be pretty good.
And I wouldn't completely sleep on Chicago. I mean, if they have a good draft, I mean, they got 2 high picks coming up here. They could figure this out and they could be sneaky. I mean, Minnesota is putting themselves in a position where if they don't figure it out, we could be bottom of the division for a couple seasons here. You know that?
Yeah, all the other teams are trending in the right direction. I'm not saying we're trending backwards or in the wrong direction, but there is so much to fix. You wonder if there's too many holes to fill in the boat that's in the middle of the ocean right now. Because if, I said it to you guys last night in the chat. So for the people listening, the Vikings have 37 or 38 million in cap space, which sounds like a lot of money. But when you start throwing it at a quarterback and a number 1 receiver in the whole entire league, that's going to be most of that money. What are you going to do then? You got to nail the draft, and you've got to free up some, like Marcus Davenport. I highly doubt he's coming back. I don't think we can afford to keep.
I don't want him back.
Yeah, I don't either. He's terrible. Don't know if Daniil Hunter's coming back. Don't know if Harrison Smith's coming back. There will be places where there will be a little more money to free up, but that means you got to find free agents on the cheap.
You got to spend something at running back. Madison was kind of their second pick. We know they tried for David Montgomery. He ended up going to Detroit, and then that's ultimately when they pulled the trigger on bringing Madison back. And then he had the season that he had. We all kind of feel like he's expendable. You look at the running back group, there's probably only one guy that's coming back. Well, two. You count CJ Ham. I think CJ Ham is still going to stick around, but you've got to figure someone out. Some veteran has to come into that group, and maybe another draft pick, another mid to late round draft pick at running back.
I'm trying to think in the NFL, the top 15 draft picks that are quarterbacks: Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. I can think of Joe Burrow, pretty good. Lamar Jackson doesn't count. He was 32nd. That makes me angry. All the teams, including us, that could have went after Lamar Jackson. Tua, which is hilarious because I had someone call him on Twitter last night, Hawaiian Tim Tebow.
And now I'm hearing a lot of questions in the media too about Trevor
Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, yeah.
They're idiots. I can't take that. Yeah, such a good coach and a good team down there. I think he was hurt for a little bit, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he didn't play for like a month. So I'm not gonna ride that on the coattails of somebody being injured for a chunk of the season.
So the current state of the Vikings, are you blaming it mostly on the previous regime, or are you putting this on the current GM situation?
It's strictly on the current. There's no way. We were 2 years past.
Well,
I know the contract situation is crazy, but for the current state that we're currently in, and especially with the quarterback situation, that's the thing I'm going to look at Kevin O'Connell and be like, dude, what the hell are you doing? I love him to death, and I'm not calling for him to be fired. He's 20-14 in 2 years. That's fine. But doing this musical chairs thing at quarterback, trying to do why did we start Jaron Hall? Why? For what? So he could play for 2 quarters and then you pull him out of the game? And what I really even not even yelling at Kevin O'Connell because, I think of him, he controls the offense, blah, blah, blah. Brian Flores, what the fuck happened to the defense from Thanksgiving on? They were terrible. What happened? I know Byron Murphy was out and you have injuries, but I don't care. No, the opponents don't care. I want to know what happened to have the defense collapse because they were playing unreal football. And might I add this before
there was
I keep
injuries.
Going. Yes. One more thing, Kyle.
Injuries.
Think about this. Okay. They won the game. The only game they won in that 1-7 stretch was a 3-0 game against the fucking Raiders. Awful. The second half of the season was awful. Somebody said in the chat too, right. When one part of the team was doing great, there wasn't one game where it was just all 3 phases were lights out. Maybe the San Francisco game, which is ironic because they might win the Super Bowl and that'd be the one team that they look good against. But yeah, there was no balance this year, and I attribute a lot of that to the roster because for half the season there, it looked like Brian Flores was turning water into wine. If you know
and through most of the season, Minnesota's special teams looked pretty good, but Sunday against Detroit, they looked bad.
That's annoying. Sorry, Kyle.
So that last draft class that Rick Spielman had and the first draft class for Kwesi that he had were both not very good draft classes. And I think that kind of caught up to the team this year as well, too. And then you're looking at, the injuries that they had with Kirk and Justin Jefferson both going down. That's a recipe for disaster as well. On top of, true or not true, boy, the Vikings lucked out the season prior with the ball bouncing their way every opportunity. And this year it was like, how poorly can the ball bounce your way? It turns out the answer is a lot. It happened a lot to the Vikings this year. And they found fool's gold a little bit as best they could. And, hey, we're going to be sneaky and we're going to win some games. And Josh Dobbs is going to take you by storm for a little bit. But it wasn't sustainable. So no, I'm not mad at Kevin O'Connell, and I don't think Kevin O'Connell should be fired. I think he's done a tremendous job with this team on building a winning culture, and it's a difficult process for them to move forward, but I think that they can. I think that we do have a good coach in place to make these decisions.
I agree. I don't think it's the coach's issue. I laugh at some of the whiffs, man. The GM has not done very good, in my opinion. There for every there's an Ivan Pace or there's a Jordan Addison, I can find a glaring need. Let's start with the very first pick they ever made. Lewis Cine has done nothing for the team, and outside of injury, we're rolling into the third year where he's given the team absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, I watch Baltimore as the 1 seed, and guess who they keep talking about week after week after week? How freaking good Kyle Hamilton is, wouldn't you know? Who was sitting right there for the Vikings to take, and they didn't take him. I don't even know if he would be that good in the scheme and the system here, but at least he'd be on the field. Because Lewis Seen's been, a healthy scratch like half the year. I don't know. I don't blame them for the Hawkinson thing, like him getting injured. It's football. But, man, like, it's just another – it's the Vikings, for as good as they are at drafting receivers and good, interior defensive linemen or edge rushers, good God, can they not find a quarterback or a cornerback to save their fucking life in the draft? We have more corners this year, and they're all average at best. I like Caleb Evans. I like Mekhi Blackman, but are they if they were on the free agent market right now, would they fetch you like a huge treasure of a contract? No.
Even Andrew Booth looked better this year.
Yeah, he got some snaps yesterday, which I was happy to see. But I don't know. Yesterday kind of jaded me because I had no thought that we were going to win the game regardless. I was like, let's just get Justin to 1,000 yards. That's all.
I just didn't want the Vikings to get embarrassed. That was my goal for that game.
Yeah. You thought yesterday, speaking of the game.
Hey, Nick Mullins is the perfect quarterback. Yeah, he's the perfect quarterback to put in, and he'll put up some yards, and Justin Jefferson will get his numbers put out there on the field. You're not going to win the game, but you're not going to be embarrassed in the loss.
I was surprised at how quickly they scored back-to-back to keep that game interesting. Yeah. And I feel bad for Detroit because I'll say this, with the Vikings being out of it yesterday, we learned about midway through the third quarter, they weren't going anywhere because the Bucs won and the Saints won. So you had pretty much no chance. I have said this for about 4 weeks now. It's like I will root solely and only for Detroit to win. Could care less about any of the AFC teams. I'm happy for our division rival for how long they've suffered, and they've really done a really good job. You got to think. Remember, Dan Campbell started 0-10 to start out 3 years ago here.
Yeah,
they're a powerhouse now.
Until 3 weeks ago, I would have been right there with you. But after that interception at the end of the Vikings game against the Lions in Minnesota, and that interception of Mullins, and they were celebrating and looking right at Vikings fans and doing skull chant and just taunting the fans. Yeah. I mean, the Lions players, I can't root for them anymore.
I'm not a fan of that either. I understand that. I'm happy for the team and the fan base because they've had to endure such shitty football for so long, and they're actually respectfully good. They should have beat the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. That was bullshit call, but I'm happy to root for them. But man, yesterday in the game, you see Sam Laporta, outstanding rookie. He's out. I think they lost another key player, and it's dude, I'm so glad I'm not coaching the NFL because, Baltimore they locked up the 1 seed, but are they going to be rusty with basically 2 weeks off from 90% of their team?
That tackling against Detroit was terrible. Johnson just mentioned that. So bad.
Well, the Vikings have a lot of issues, and they've got a lot of things they got to address. And like we said, the worst of it being the cap is working against them very negatively. Now, as the years go on, I think they're going to do better because this GM has shown he likes to get a bang for the buck outside of maybe a Davenport. He took a swing on him. I don't think he'll be back. But they're slowly getting out of cap hell, but they're not out of it yet. And especially with the Kirk Cousins thing, I just don't know how. Like I said earlier, I don't know how you pay him almost $30 million to play somewhere else. That would sicken me. I don't think he wants to play anywhere else.
You also don't want to pay him $70 million to play here.
That's probably what it's going to cost. Yep. And what sucks is this perfect situation for him to be like, I mean, look how shitty you were without me.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
His price tag kept going up with every Vikings game where the quarterback couldn't play.
I think it was tough. I don't know what the right decision would have been to go back and rewind the clock. I don't know if you roll with Dobbs because of his outside the pocket scrambling, kind of fun, or if you just roll with Mullins and let him just Jay Cutler it all over the field. I don't know. I don't think it changes. I don't think it changes the record at all. But that's my biggest gripe, and we'll find creative ways to talk about it in the next few months. But Kyle and I are both on the same thing there, and I'll give him the credit for bringing it up. They should have stuck with either Dobbs or Mullins for the rest, and just catered like crazy.
That's
when you really find out what your coaching is.
Again,
I'm going to cater my whole playbook to him.
Again, all of the bad luck imaginable hitting the Vikings at once. They couldn't because Nick Mullins was also coming off an injury. So you had to start someone that wasn't him. Like, if he would have been healthy, you probably don't even really need to trade for Josh Dobbs. You just plug Mullins in, and I assume you stick with him for the majority of the season. You couldn't because he was banged up, and then you enter the whole snowball effect that happened that was the quarterback carousel of this year. It's really easy to look back and say, oh, you should have just stuck with Josh Dobbs, when now I get to be that asshole fan who, if you go back and listen to our podcast from a few weeks ago, was saying Josh Dobbs should never play again for the Minnesota Vikings.
I mean, you didn't shave your eyebrows for him like that one kid on Twitter?
No, I did not.
How's he doing? How's he doing out there? How'd that go for you? Also, Justin, just to clarify my comments, I don't want Detroit to win the Super Bowl. God, that would be terrible. No, I'm rooting for them to do things in the playoffs. I don't think they are equipped to beat a Ravens or a 49ers team.
I can't wait for the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl. I can't wait.
I'll be there. I'm excited for that. I still can't believe I'm going to the Super Bowl this year. What if it comes true, Adam? What if it's the colors and it is the Ravens and 49ers?
That would be wild.
Everybody's just going to keep saying the NFL's rigged. It's so funny. But now that we're there, I don't know if you guys want to keep talking about the game yesterday. That's fine. I'm going to talk about the playoff picture for the rest. And we've got some exciting games tonight. We're trying to get off here now because the national championship between Michigan and Washington, the men's and women's restroom bowl, is today. I really like that. Oh, terrible joke. I know. M&W. What are you going to do? Last night, everything was
jokes are worse than the ones at the Golden Globes.
Oh, God. I thought Jim Gaffigan on there. I thought it was Joe Coy.
It was Joe Coy.
Oh, okay. I mean, I like Jim Gaffigan sometimes, I guess.
Jim Gaffigan announced the new award for Best Comedian.
Oh, cool. Who won that?
I don't know.
I will look that up. I love stand-up comedy. That'd be interesting to see if they want.
Because it was the first time that category ever existed at the Golden Globes.
Gotcha. Okay, we have to change this because I just love saying it, and it's dumb. And normally I would hate something like this, but it's so dumb that I like it. This is not Wild Card Weekend anymore, folks. This is Super Wild Card Weekend. With the addition.
I hate that kind of bullshit marketing spin on stuff.
Well, it's an extra game.
Wild card
right.
Weekend.
Jeez. Because of the addition to an extra team in every conference, going from 6 to 7, and only one team getting a bye. Now there's 3 games. Sunday, Saturday. I thought there was a Monday. Yeah. So there's 3 days worth of football. And I wish they did these in chronological order for time, but they have not. Saturday, 2 AFC games, which I thought they would do. That's kind of not fair to the AFC. You should do an NFC and AFC each day. That's dumb. I don't like that.
Oh, just wait.
So the first game for the playoffs are the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. Arguably my favorite game of the weekend. I'll get to the next one in a minute, but that's awesome. Joe Flacco playing with house money, has nothing to lose, and the Houston Texans are damn near red hot with a rookie quarterback. I'm excited for this game a lot. That's cool. I'm happy to see not Deshaun Watson winning and doing well in Cleveland. I love the Joe Flacco story. I love that Houston has had kind of a resurrection because they have been a toilet the last 3 years.
Got a poll for Cleveland. That'll be a fun game.
That'll be fun. Saturday at 4:30. Saturday at 8:15, the Miami Dolphins go to the Kansas City Chiefs. Who can be worse on offense? Let's find out. On
Peacock exclusively.
On Peacock exclusively. Not my 60-year-old dad asking me how to download Peacock last night. And I said, with your phone. With your phone on the internet. So
Boy,
funny.
Peacock has a lot of people mad.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit that I think it's DirecTV. They got rid of NBC. So they can't watch the Sunday night games. My dad was furious about that. It's an old man yelling at the clouds. I don't like change.
The NFL is the only multi-billion-dollar entity that all three of us would sit here and be like, let me just give you money. Let me just give you money for a single streaming service to watch this shit on. And they just can't figure this out. How can they not figure this out?
NFL Plus, NFL Canada, I keep getting emails for. It's trash.
NFL Europe, is that still a thing?
I'm sure it is. Sunday at 4:30. These are two NFC games going on Sunday afternoon and evening. Green Bay, the 7th seed, at the 2 seed Dallas Cowboys. That'll be fun. Mike McCarthy hosts.
I hate.
Two teams you hate?
Yeah, two teams I hate.
I've never uttered these words in my entire life. Go Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? Let's go.
I hope it ends in a tie.
So Mike McCarthy hosting his former team that he won a Super Bowl with, 13 years ago in Green Bay. Jordan Love and the Packers look pretty good the last couple of games. That's at 4:30 on Fox. On NBC at 8:15, we have another former going against each other. And somebody pointed this out today, and I think it's the fantasy football guy, maybe Matthew Berry. He had a great point today. Matthew, shout out to you. Everybody's talking about Matt Stafford going back to Detroit. It's the Matt Stafford revenge game. This is Jared Goff versus his old coach and the team he went to a Super Bowl with. We're not talking enough about that. The Rams are kind of hot right now, and they're playing pretty good. And they're going to the Lions at 3, who are also playing pretty good, because barring that bullshit call at Dallas, they're on a pretty good win streak too. That's going to be probably my second favorite game of the playoffs or Super Wild Card weekend. Sunday at 1, I forgot to mention this. I do not want to watch the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. No part of me wants to watch Mason Rudolph.
You don't want to see Stephon?
No, I don't care. I'm happy for the Bills.
I think that was you on this very podcast, Adam, who said that Stephon Diggs will never have a bigger moment in his career than the Minneapolis Miracle.
I don't think he will.
You are correct. He will never be able to outdo that.
He's been not very good this year, too. His stats have not been great. It's crazy. And it's crazy, too, because Josh Allen is such the catalyst for the team. They were 6-6 at one point, and they're 11-6 now. Holy shit. They were going from, we don't even know if we're going to get into the playoffs, to they're the 2 seed.
We're at that cycle in the NFL where Stephon Diggs is unhappy again.
Oh, we're so sad to hear. We've never heard that before. Go do what Woody Harrelson did in Zombieland and just wipe your tears with your hundreds and shut up, dude. Good Lord. And then Monday night, this will be a fun one to watch. The Philadelphia Eagles look like dog shit the last 5 games, and it makes me so happy. So happy. All of you, the entire city of Philadelphia, all you fans, you're garbage cans. And
you're just jealous of the world's sexiest man.
I do love me some Jason Kelce. I do. You know what? You know what the Philadelphia Eagles are and the fans are, though? They're that girl that bases their personality off astrology. It's like, no, you're just a bitch, Stacey. That's all you are. Oh, well, this town's tough. You got to be tough to be an Eagles fan. No, you don't have to be a dick about everything. You're just an asshole. It's weird. I am rooting for Baker Mayfield and company to beat them by 35 points. So good for him. Yeah. He'll get a nice contract with the Buccaneers after this year, and he'll be a little stopgap until they figure that out.
Let's ban the tush push, so I never have to hear the announcers use the phrase tush push on live television ever again. That sounds like a net.
You know what's hilarious about that? So every time the Eagles lose, they always talk shit, but they have like this really handsome dude like getting ready. He's got his shirt off, and then he's getting cologne on. He's getting ready to like go out to clubs like Jalen Hurts after the season ends in the wild card round. And he's just a handsome guy who's just like doing nothing. They had one yesterday. Holy God. I love the internet, the trolls. We live in the best era ever of technology because the memes are so good. It's Jalen Hurts when a bunch of guys can't push his ass 3 yards, every 5 plays. And it's Byron Leftwich with the Steelers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was brutal. So brutal.
So when Green Bay does a quarterback sneak and they call it the love shove.
I hate that. That's not as bad as tush push. But
don't like that either.
I will mention this every single time.
Byron sounds like something you should go to jail for. Yeah. Just saying.
No, every time Byron Leftwich gets brought up, which is not very often, but Byron Leftwich, when I was younger, was the first pro quarterback that I remember seeing going, there's something wrong with his throwing motion. The way he throws the football is not right.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't think we were going to bring him up on the show today. That's great. But yeah, as we talked about, we'll wrap the show up. I know Kyle wants to get
the Vikings had 2 Pro Bowlers named.
Oh, nice. Can't forget that.
Gotta love when the long snapper gets love.
Long snapper love. And, of course, Danielle Hunter coming off a career season with 16.5 sacks. His stats this year were unreal. And I hate that Khalil Mack had that one game where they played the Raiders and he had 6 sacks in a game because that was very inflated. But give you his stats through the year. I can find them and bring them up. Yeah, it sucks. I think Danielle Hunter's played his last game as a Viking. That's sad. So 54 solo tackles, 16.5 sacks. That's 5th for the league. 4 forced fumbles, 5th in the league also. 1. This is the last game, excuse me there. Yeah, he's doing, let's see, 2 pass defended. He had a great season, man. I don't think he's ever had this many sacks in a year. He thrived. And it was funny. We were talking about that on the show in between, like at this time last year. Like, hey, can we get a D coordinator who doesn't drop Danielle Hunter into coverage 80% of the time and just let him go be a wrecking ball? And look what happened. So
I gotta head out, guys. So I will. Sorry to cut it short.
Well, we'll close it up right now anyway.
Yep.
My final bit of Minnesota news is that US Bank Stadium is a finalist for WrestleMania 41. So if you're a football fan who also he really had to go, didn't he?
Yeah, he's out of here. Let's see. That's cool.
Be excited about that. I guess you don't really have to hurry anymore.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys, for everyone that's still watching, thank you, Jonathan. We love our fans. I'd rather have 10 of you here every week that are fun and kind of like family than to have trolls or a bunch of people that jump in and say crazy shit or whatever. Like, yeah, I was talking shit to Score North earlier, and I mean what I said, and I think it's true. But, every other time I can be a little facetious or sarcastic. I'm not going to go after someone who's out here trying to have like a normal conversation. I love it. Right. I was on a Detroit Lions podcast 3 weeks ago before the home game with some guys overseas, and it was a lot of fun. I like having those conversations. I like that you guys bring it in and bring your own like little flavor to it. But I will ask the chat this before Adam and I wrap it up and do our little promotions and stuff. Would you want Brian Flores back for another year? Because it started out 0-3, it was rocky, and then something flipped on in that Carolina game. And there for about 7 to 8 games, you're like, holy shit, this defense is awesome. Are they statistically in the top 10 after being next to last? And then it fizzled out real bad the last month. So what do you guys think? I'm a big
yes, because I've seen what he's been able to do with some young talent, and I'm excited to see the young talent continue to grow and develop under him.
I think so too, Adam. I think with what you're saying is kind of the direction I'm going. I think the Vikings have to hit an A+ draft and free agent offseason this year. And compared to, and I'm not saying this like, oh, well, I don't want to date down, so I'll stay with the girl that I'm with. I'm saying this as are we going to find someone better who's going to do a better job with less? I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it too. Do I wish that he would tone back the blitzing a little bit? Yes. Zone coverage is okay, fellas. It's all right. I understand if you don't trust the personnel to run as much man coverage and one-on-one, that's fine. Because there are some super athletes at wide receiver. I wish that we would tone down the blitzing a hair, maybe 2 or 3%. But, dude, the turnaround from just playing prevent all year, a bend, don't break, to, hey, we're going to rush at you like every other play, figure it out. With the cast that he was given, if they can knock it out of the park and get 2 or 3 stud players on defense, I think that they can maintain this. And, he'll be creative.
If you look up and down the roster, Minnesota's got a lot of really good players that are 25 or under. And it's really cool to see them contributing in a big way and hopefully be a part of this team for many years to come.
Kyle, welcome back. We were asking before we jump off of here, how would you feel given that it started cold at 0-3, then he got really hot for about 7-8 games, and then it fizzled out very badly at the end? Do you want to bring Brian Flores back for another year if he should choose to stay? What would you think?
Absolutely, you want Brian Flores back. He's an excellent coach. The cupboard's pretty bare on defense, and he was able to work some miracles, I think, for the first part of the season. I do believe that offenses, the other coordinators kind of caught up to what the Vikings were doing on defense. That tends to happen as the season goes on. The continuity of having him back would be really important because you're keeping the same system, the same, keeping his thought process instead of, okay, here's someone new and we're going to do an entirely new defense again. Yes. I would rather not do that. And I do think that he will stick around in Minnesota. Yeah.
Well, Brian Flores is bound to get an invite or two for an interview for a head coaching opportunity. But the good news for Minnesota Vikings fans is that most teams these days are not looking for a defensive head coach. They're looking for someone more on the offensive side of the ball. So maybe Flores will be able to stick around for a little while.
I think 2 points to keeping him around. One, speaking of the defensive-minded, that situation in Miami, it's not fresh, but it's still recent. I think with one more year, it might be a little bit in the rear view to the point where we're like, oh, okay, we don't have to think about that anymore. Even though it's still probably being handled.
He got burned pretty bad by the Dolphins. That's going to make him, he's going to be smart when he takes his next head coaching job. If you're Brian Flores and the Carolina Panthers call you on the phone based on what they've been doing recently, you hang up. You hang up on the Carolina Panthers. Like, he's not taking that job. Now, if you're somewhere like New England,
I was just about to say New England's a no-go too because they just don't have the talent.
Right. They don't, but that's a little more of a clean slate. Maybe the owner is going to stick with you to give you the opportunity to build. That might be a little more enticing, maybe. But
I also wanted to go. My second point for that was the pressure. I was talking about when you were off, Kyle. I was talking about the blitzing. I said I wish they would dial the blitzing back just a hair. If you can get the ball out fast on the blitzing of Brian Flores, you're going to do great. It's pretty much death by 1,000 paper cuts. Tom Brady would eat this defense alive because it's just, I'm just going to hit the slant and hit the middle of the field the entire time. That's fine. Yeah. What can happen is when you can generate pressure with just 4 and not have to keep sending guys, if the Vikings had the personnel to just generate stupid pressure with 4 in a Brian Flores defense, good luck. But they didn't have that luxury this year. And that's what I noticed yesterday. I was like, I watched Danielle Hunter get so close to a sack all day yesterday. And I'm like, Jared Goff's just going to get the ball out in 2.5 seconds. And that's all they did. It's easy. So if the Vikings, like I said, when you were gone, Kyle, if they can have an A+, knock it out of the park, home run, draft, and free agency, I would love for him to stay because who else is going to come in and keep that group of people? Like your analogy was great. The cupboard was bare. Who's going to keep that personnel competitive for that long? There's probably a handful of dudes, and they're probably not coming to Minnesota.
I mean, moving on from guys like Eric Kendricks and Patrick Peterson and all the other bigger name guys that were in that Vikings defense that had the experience, and going towards the younger guys has paid off pretty good, I think, for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's easy, Smith. Really, all you need is Kevin and Pat Williams and Jared Allen and a bunch of Hall of Famers, Ring of Honor members out there on defense. And then you get pressure with your front 4, and it's fine. So, all you got to do is just bring, can't you just do that?
Yeah. And while we're at it, just find the next Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes.
I'm gonna draft the next Russell Wilson in the middle of the draft. And
well, just get the current Russell Wilson.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Let's overpay again for that. What, to his defense, if you look on the stats, he was actually decent this year. But isn't that crazy? He's so much better than the first year with Nathaniel Hackett, and then Sean Payton's just like, I still don't want you. Get the fuck out of here. You're not. That's crazy. Oh, that's crazy. Whatever. We're talking about Sean Payton. That's time to wrap the show up.
Yeah.
Charlotte, I'm gonna do Adam's dirty work for you. I saw you sharing his article today, and I appreciate that.
She's a constant sharer. It's always nice.
Go check out the Adam's work on the Viking Age. Adam Carlson at thevikingage.com. Pay his bills for him. You just got to click on the article and read it. That's it.
I would especially appreciate it recently because I spent all the time in the hospital and I was unable to work for a little while. So if you can go give a couple clicks, I'd appreciate that. You also check me out on social media. Anywhere you are, just type in MN Viking Zombie and you can probably find me. Send me messages about anything horror movies or, TV shows or whatever. I just watched the movie Saltburn and that was interesting.
I saw somewhere, I think on Facebook. We got to get back into that, man. I got to catch up on my horror movies. I know you watched Thanksgiving, and I kind of wanted to go see that while I was in theaters.
Oh, yeah, I did. I had to check that one out as soon as I saw it was available.
I love that. Kyle West, you can plug away, sir.
You can find me on Vaguely Square over on Blue Sky. That is my social media platform of choice at the moment.
I can't figure out how to grow on Blue Sky. Do I just type in a topic and add random people, or what do I do?
So there's no real algorithm with Blue Sky. So the best way to get your voice out is you find people and you interact with them. And if you like what someone posts, repost it. So, post a Vikings article and find other Vikings fans, and hopefully they will reshare your work. That seems to be the best way to get traction on Blue Sky.
I would like to take this time to read a quote from Kirk Cousins because it's not the full quote, but this is important, and I hope that he means this. Kirk Cousins was asked today if he would embrace a hometown discount. If that's what the Vikings seek. Kirk says, that's a great question and one I've thought about pretty much my whole 12 years. I do think it's important to be aware of. I think God has blessed me financially beyond my wildest dreams. So at this stage in my career, the dollars are really not what it's about.
That is saying the right things right there.
You got to say the right things to have everybody love you. That's the one. It's funny. I can hear the old boomers and the old whites in there. It's like, you get paid to throw a ball. You don't get. Teachers should make that salary.
See, Brian O'Neill said he wants Kirk back too.
Did you see speaking of that, not to answer your question with a wild, did you see that part of Vikings Twitter wants Brian O'Neill gone? What are we doing?
Oh, yeah.
What are we doing when the Pro Bowl right tackle?
Why?
Because he's got value right now. He's got a bigger contract.
That's not how this works.
Could you know what I wish would happen to these people, and I don't mean that seriously. Madden. Yeah, that's what's happening. But you know what I wish would happen seriously, and it couldn't happen really because people would lose their livelihood. Could you imagine if your employer just gave up on you because you got hurt at work? And we're like, hey, go fuck yourself.
I still really like the idea that me and Mr. West talk about once in a while, where just have one team that's completely ran by fans.
Yes.
Social media polls. For a while, you really could have made the case that social media could have ran the Cleveland Browns better than the Cleveland Browns. But I think they finally turned that around.
I saw the guy's jersey yesterday for the Cleveland game, and he had professional stitching, and he didn't have Deshaun Watson's name on there. It was some symbol, and I didn't know what the symbol was, but he didn't have his actual name on there. No shit, the artist formerly known as.
That'd kind of be a cool Vikings jersey. Just big Prince logo on the front of it.
That's a good idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, all right. I'll shut up and promote my stuff. I am in the middle of recording an album. I am very proud of this. I made 90% of this. One song is not mine, but one of my really good friends gave it to me, and it's really fun. But I was in a funk over the holidays, man. I got to go home, and I miss being home, but I know being here with my son is it's a joy, man. It's fun to watch my child grow. But I got to hang out with my favorite people, and I had a good time, and it's never long enough. And I got back, and I couldn't write any music. And I was like, am I the worst human ever? What is wrong with me? And the answer was,
we love having you here with us, too.
I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you. And it made me feel a lot better once I got out and got some sunshine. And I was like, Oh, I'm just sad for a day. That happens. Now I have all these songs that are going to come out at some point this year, and I'm pumped about it. So whenever that happens, I will promote the living hell out of it on this platform. But until then, I can't wait to talk about.
We have a lot of off-season stuff to talk about.
Michael
In the
Penix
meantime,
Jr.
Thank you so much to everybody who joined us in chat. We'll be back next week to talk about probably the national championship game and whatever else happens, along with Minnesota Vikings news. As you know, we go all year round. We don't take the off season off. We're back every week to talk Vikings football. So hopefully you can join us here and join us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find us, or you can listen to the whole catalog over on YouTube. In the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.